What's up guys, welcome back to Car Studio. I know it's been a very long time since I've produced any kind of content. About a month, and the last one was on a radio install. Very boring, but I wanted to review it. Anyways, I'm back and today we are going to start the teardown of my eBay turbo boosted M20, which is on its last leg. Honestly, this car could have died right here pulling it in the garage and I would not have been surprised. Guys, if you are new to the channel, then I'm just going to do a short recap of this car. Basically, I got it in really rough shape a few years ago, and I put the correct seats in it and a new dash, and then from there just continued working on the interior, a bunch of mods which are in my previous videos. And about a year and a half ago, I bought an eBay turbo kit. Again, there's videos on it, the review, and it's been great. It made the car perform so much better. It gave me about 100 wheel horsepower with no tune or anything, which that's going to change this winter. But it's tired. This engine is tired. The only thing I did to this motor, it had over 200,000 miles. Before I put the turbo kit on it, the only thing I did was a new head gasket and timing belt and gaskets, you know, reseal. And that's pretty much it. It's stock otherwise. It doesn't have head studs or anything like that. And it's been very reliable. It's never broke down, never left me stranded. But it hasn't had good oil pressure in over a year. And I don't drive the car that much, but when I do push it pretty hard. And I think at least my rod bearings have just seen better days. Go ahead and listen to this thing. It's it's pretty bad. Get my daughter's cat out of the way first. He's a garage cat, loves hanging out in here with me. Oh. All right, we'll fire it up now. Oh, I hope you guys heard that. All right, now that the car is off the ground, we're gonna start draining fluids and basically just removing things off the engine, intercooler piping, radiator, maybe the turbo, things like that. I do have a magnetic oil drain plug, and I'm very interested in seeing how many metal shavings are stuck to it. So let's take that off now and see. I haven't been under this car in a long time, and I had no idea it was leaking oil this bad. Holy crap. Trying not to get oil on my hand. Oh, did you all hear that clunk? I wonder if that was metal. I can already see tons of metal shavings. Let's get this on a rag and see what it looks like. So I know my camera's not focused the best right now, but you can see all the metal pieces. Man, that oil is so thick. Hear that? Gosh. A lot of metal shavings.
Many months later.
Alright guys, this may be the intro to this video because it is many months later and I do not remember if I filmed an intro for this. I don't remember what footage I got. And you guys will know before me after I edit this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and film this just to be safe. But we are at the point now with the E30, I don't know if it's a rebuild, but basically I am swapping in the new motor. So first I'm gonna pull the old engine, and that's where we're at today. So I filmed for 2 hours, like I said, many months ago, it may even have been a year ago almost, of me taking the fluids out, pulling the radiator, and from the looks of it, that's about as far as I got. And I pulled the hood, obviously. I haven't touched this car since then. Summer's finally winding down. It's getting cool outside. It's perfect cruising weather. And I miss driving this car. I don't have any fun cars to drive right now. So, yeah, I'm gonna pull this engine. Hopefully in 2 hours, because it is 11 o'clock at night. And I would like to be in bed by about 1:30 for work tomorrow. I've worked about 12 hours today. I got a sudden burst of energy, and I really want this thing on the road and driving this weekend. But let me show you what I've got ready to install. Well, almost ready. So here is the new motor. It came from an automatic car, so I'm assuming it wasn't you know, beat on too hard. It's in really good shape. It's fairly clean. I haven't cleaned it up any yet, but I have a new head gasket and head bolts. I have a Gates water pump, and I have a Gates timing belt, and also a new timing belt tensioner. That will be in a different video when I prep this motor to install in the car. But here's the engine. I've had the valve cover off before. I put a valve cover gasket on this car. The car that this came out of, that was years ago. It was a very clean sedan. I repainted it and put some wheels on it and coilovers. Here's a picture of it. But I sold that car to a buddy, and the transmission went out, and he ended up parting it out, and he gave me the engine back. So this is a good long block. I've driven the car. It ran very well. And I'm doing essentially the same thing to this one that I did to that motor, and that motor has lasted me 5 years, and 3 of those years was under 12 pounds of boost with no tune and a lot of help. Yep, just follow me along while we pull this engine. Alright, that was about 30 minutes of work, and in that 30 minutes I got everything but the bell housing bolts taken care of. So, first thing I did was remove the intercooler piping, the charge pipe, and then I removed the intake, and that got the wiring harness out of the way. Now you can unplug the this connector right here and leave the harness on the car and just disconnect those power supplies right there. But with the intake off, I have way more access to like this motor mount down here. The starter is way easier to get to that way. At least this bell housing bolt back here, that's super easy to get to. If I remember correctly, it is a the box end of a 12mm wrench fits on it perfectly, maybe 11mm. It's been years, 5 years actually, since I messed with the E30 motor swap. But yeah, wiring harness is off to the side, intake's off. I mean, it took 30 minutes to do all that. There's no connectors anymore holding on. I need to remember that ground strap on the engine down there. That'll definitely wreak some havoc trying to pull it out. But yeah, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the starter off, try and get the rest of the bell housing bolts taken off, and then this is gonna be ready to yank out. I've got the engine hoist back there behind the car, and I got a chain ready to go. And 1 hour, maybe? We'll see. All right, we've run into a little bit of an issue. Of course, I knew this wasn't gonna be as easy as I had planned on it. Apparently 5 years ago when I put this motor in, I really tightened down these top bell housing bolts, and so far I've got the intake pulled, I got the starter pulled, which that alone is 2 bell housing bolts. I also got that top bell housing bolt removed. As I mentioned earlier, you can get an 11mm wrench and use the box end of it to remove those. Of course, if you have a lift, you can drop the transmission bracket, and with a long extension and an E-Torx, you can get to them easier, get them off the impact. But you know, obviously my car's on jack stands now. I really didn't want to get underneath the car and deal with all that. So the issue now is that, well, let me get my light to work. That bell housing bolt down there, I know you can barely see it, but put the wrench on it, and I either stripped it installing it a little bit, or I stripped it just now. But yeah, that one is not coming out without cutting it, probably, or like an easy out. So, or an extraction socket, not an easy out. So I've jacked up the transmission a little bit, just to get a little bit more room in there. I've tried every tool. I mean, like I said, it's an 11mm, and look at this pallet of tools that I've got here, trying everything to try and get it out. It's not happening. So I'm really doing my best to avoid pulling the transmission, and you know, the drive shaft, just the drive shaft, the shifter, the clutch line. I really don't want to do all that. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. So at this point, what I want to do is pull the head off this motor, because this motor, the bottom end, I wouldn't say that it's junk, but it's not something that I can use without rebuilding. So it doesn't really matter at this point. And I'm thinking about reusing this head off this motor, because I know it's good, and I know it's obviously sealed this head gasket for the last 5 years, and under boost it's been, you know, reliable. So I may use this head that I know good, you know, things about, rather than the one on the other engine. Yeah, so anyways, we're gonna pull this head off. Should only take about 20 minutes. The intake's already off. The exhaust, the downpipe's disconnected. I just got to remove the oil feed line. I took the dizzy cap off. Next, I got to get to the timing belt and remove it. And yeah, that's it. So let's get to it. Alright guys, as you can see, the motor is now out. That upper bell housing bolt came out easily once the head was off. I just took a cut-off wheel and cut it down as much as I could, and then I took an air chisel and snapped the head off the bolt, and yeah, it came right out. As you can see, the bolt is still in right here. And I don't know, some of you may not be aware of this, but if you've got like a seized lug nut or a seized bell housing bolt like this, well, not seized but stripped, once you get the head off of it, there's no more pressure on it, and it will literally come right out by hand. So just a little tip. So yeah, that's it. Throw that in the trash. After pulling the head, I'm really impressed with how good at least the top end of this motor looks. The cylinder walls, they have good cross hatching. Not a lot of carbon buildup on the pistons. The valves are still clean. I rebuilt this head before I put this engine together, and like I said, it's lasted me the last 5 years. A lot of abuse, and ultimately I think what caused this engine to start knocking was low oil pressure. It's had low oil pressure for a while, and if I hadn't been lazy and just put an oil pump in it a while ago, it probably would have been fine. Maybe new rod bearings. It still might be the case, I don't know. In another video, we're going to tear into this bottom end and see what the actual failure was. But take a look at this head. Like I said, I'm very impressed all those valves are in really good shape. I mean, for this car to not have a tune and running 12 pounds of boost, it looks to me like it was running just where it needed to be in terms of air-fuel ratio. I'm also impressed with the eBay turbo setup that I have. There's no cracks in this exhaust manifold. Very, very surprised about that. The turbo is still in excellent shape. We'll take a look at that later on. There's no shaft play on either side of the turbo. I was really surprised at that. The impeller is in great shape. No nicks in it. I don't want to move this head because it's super heavy, but we'll take a look at that in another video. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but like I said, the cross hatching's in really good shape. Pistons are in good shape. The antifreeze here is just from the coolant jackets, but you know, this engine held up really, really well. Very pleased with it. I hope I can get, you know, the same reliability out of this new motor, but like I said, I'm doing the same exact thing that I did to this one. I've got a new head gasket up there, new head bolts. Oh, another thing, my timing belt. This is just a Gates timing belt. I'm not going to spend too much time showing you guys this, but there's no cracks in it. No, you know, frayed threading or anything hanging off of it. Again, very impressed. I mean, this was just a really reliable setup. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, because in the next couple videos we're going to be doing a lot more of this car. We're going to tear into this engine and see what the failure was in it. I'm assuming the rod bearings are probably gone in it, and we're going to clean up this engine bay, get it ready to put the new motor in, maybe a little bit of touch-up paint if needed, new insulation, whatever, to make it look good. Then we are going to assemble the new motor back there, new head gasket, head bolts, timing belt, water pump. I'm not going to do a time lapse. We're going to sit down and do all that together, because these are common things that, you know, an E30 owner should know how to do, and I'd like to share that information with you guys. So if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel and give this video a like if you liked what you saw, and I look really forward to putting this car back together with you guys. Thank you.